Okay, I'm getting into the cutter right now. All right, at this point, you will have pulled your main barrel off, the outer sleeve barrel off of the cutter. And I want to show you some of the things I've done. It's going to be a start and stop video here. We're going to try to merge a couple together. First off, I want to show you what I did with the seal surface here. I added 2 O-ring grooves in the back end of this tool to seal on that 4-inch barrel on the inside, let alone this outside here. A lot of guys will beat this surface up when they're trying to take that cutter apart, and it was necessary to put a couple O-rings. I probably could have got away with 1, but I figured 2 was just as good. And I've done the same thing at the front of this brass barrel, because you do beat up the ends of your main barrel. Okay? If you look inside here, what I've done to seal on these rods, your air line that was coming in the back of the cutter, you were pumping oxygen in the back of your cutter. I have never seen dry air in my entire life, let alone condensation. That cutter's above the ground at 90 degrees, 80 degrees. As soon as you drop it into a 55-degree pipe, the first thing it's going to do is condensate. So all that electronic components inside that cutter is getting water in it. You guys have all experienced water damage with your little clutches, with the motors. Some of you have used it, come back 6 months later, and the entire cutter is completely locked up. Now you got a $6,000 rebuild to repair the cutter. Okay? What I've done in the back, there is no way possible that you could, every single time, you've seen them little rubber washers they put on the back. It's a washer with a little bit of rubber. You cannot seal on a thread. There is no way possible to seal on a thread. What I've done is taken a small rubber grommet. It actually came out of a diesel fuel injection system for sealing diesel lines. They do the same thing with that. I bored the hole out here. You drop that rubber grommet down inside there. And then I made a little bushing sleeve that goes down in there. And you see there's a distance right there. When you tighten that bolt up, it mashes down on that rubber and seals right here where it's smooth on there. So that ensures 100% seal around the shaft. That was our biggest leak area, along with the seal surface right in here. Okay? I'm going to take a step-by-step and pull this cutter apart. For some of you that have not worked on a cutter before, it's very informational. You see the little witness marks I got right here? There's one shoe that's called the main shoe, and when you pull it apart, you need to put it back together the same way. It was factory put together this way. Put a couple little witness marks. There's 3, there's 1, and obviously there's 2. All right? It just helps the cutter go back together. Some of you guys that have worked on that, you know that it's hard to put them in place. It just makes it a lot easier just to put a couple little witness dimples in there. If you notice here in the back, I pulled the clutch out and put a Lovejoy in there. There's a rubber grommet within that here at the end. And what that is when you load that Lovejoy up, at the end of a load, it isn't a dead stop. It creates a recoil back. So when you take the power off, it'll recoil back a little bit. That keeps that motor from getting all them shocks within that little bitty planetary that's up in here in the motor. To start taking this apart, you see, when you put it back together, you see how I got all my little lines here are zip tied up nice and neat so that none of this can get into this Lovejoy and tear up your electronics. You know, over time, if you let that little wire rub on there, or a rubber hole in there, short the inside of your cutter out. And the whole theory here is I seal it with nitrogen. We took and give you the ability to adjust the train drive in the front. You don't have to take your cutter apart anymore. You go into the pipe, you purge it. You come out of the pipe, you purge it on the shelf. Okay, there's a little screw hole in the end. By purging that, I'm saying you loosen up one of these and you put your nitrogen at the end and you listen to it come out. You let it purge all the oxygen out of the center of that cutter, and then you tighten that little screw up a little bit. It seals it, and you put 10 pounds of pressure and you're good to go. Okay, now we're going to stop this video here in just a second. You got to start by taking these screws out. There's 3 of them here. Pull this plate off. And then take the next screws out, and you'll be able to pull this whole assembly off the end. You loosen up these nuts right here, pull them capture slides off there, and then we can slide this whole entire barrel out of here. We're going to stop the video, and I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll come right back to it.